computer. Oh, welcome everybody. My name is James Peters with my very talented co-host, Teresa Medina. Hey! Tonight we are delivering the ASD CI Level 2 slide deck titled Living with Anxiety, which is going to be a good sort of extra thing to add to the toolbox of all things you know about ASD CI or neurodiversity. And tonight we're going to look at a little bit of practice, some AOT stuff, introduction to a scenario that we're going to kind of play with not only tonight, but through the evaluation when you get evaluated on the weekend. Main causes for anxiety, self-regulation, introduction to the 3 Fs. We'll look at a sweet little 6-step so that you can address anxiety behaviors. And then we'll look at post-care and debrief, and we'll review it all, and we'll be done. So to start us off, I'd love to get into the conversation of AOT. And I'm sure this is a term that all of you know, not only from your CADS 1, but also just from training over the last few weeks to be ready for this. Anybody know what AOT stands for? Anybody Jack, what does it stand for?
Ask, observe, test.
Awesome. So if we have a student that is neurodivergent, which is that the current sort of terms we use for someone with a cognitive disability, and we were going to do an AOT, or we we're going to get to ask them some questions, observe some traits and behaviors, and then be able to run some tests. Does anybody have any good AO or T that they would do for somebody, or that they have used in the past for other lessons that they've done?
Start right at the bottom, watch them come down the stairs to the Starbucks. How balanced and stable they are coming down the stairs.
Yeah, so where we hold our lessons, just in case anybody else is viewing this, we meet our lessons right by a Starbucks coffee, which is, I don't know, what about 8 stairs that they come down? So you can start to get a sense of how they're moving and things. So that is a wonderful thing to observe, absolutely. Anything else?
You can ask them what they like doing on their weekends. Might signify something like they do outdoorsy stuff a lot, or maybe just indoors.
Yeah. And I love that you say that, Jack. You can really just ask people questions like people. It doesn't need to be all so much about, everything that is to do with ski or snowboard. It can really just be like, hey, dude, my name's Jack. Nice to meet you. What things are you into, man? What do you love to do? So it turns out, and I have a bunch of answers here that I'm looking at. So if you ask certain questions or observe certain things, I'll give you pieces of the puzzle. But in this case, our student's name is going to be Jordan, and he's going to be a 12-year-old student that has ASD and anxiety disorder. And after Jack's question, we've learned that he also loves to swim.
Does he use any specialized equipment when he swims?
No, things are pretty typical, although they have used the iPad. Jordan really loves his iPad. Like, that's a big connector. So they've been doing some video demonstrating and stuff for him on there. So.
And has he had any difficulties with swimming? Any challenges that he's had to overcome?
No, I mean, he floats like most people, so that's been good. But no, it's, he's not a big fan of like really crowded places. So if the pool's too busy, that's not wonderful. So we try and find a little quieter corner.
Okay, and if it is busy, does he tend to elope or run away?
No, great question. Why did you ask that question?
Because it's common with children who have ASD.
Yeah, it can be. I don't know if it's common, but it's definitely a thing. And it's actually one of our critical safety points in CADS for this particular discipline. So elopement is what they would call that, where kids run away. And just on a side note, there's one other critical point of safety that we talk about for neurodivergence. Does anybody remember what it is? It's where somebody might have, some really big spasms that are uncontrolled.
Oh, seizures.
Seizures? Yeah, seizures is the other one. You're right. Yeah, so those are the 2 critical points of safety that we always need to be aware of for our neurodivergent students. And of course, you'd find out most of that information if you checked where beforehand.
Snowline.
On Snowline, yeah. So if you're a program that uses Snowline, you'll totally have access to this information. Hopefully the caregiver or the student has filled it out really accurately. And if not, always a really big question to ask those two, just to make sure that it's not something that you're going to have to contend with. So cool. So the other thing that you learned from your questions, Derek, doesn't always do super well with brand new things. So Jordan really likes kind of routine, and getting out of the routine can be really tricky sometimes. So Stanley, welcome to the party. We're just doing a little AOT exercise on this student, trying to find out as much as we can through asking some questions and observing some stuff and doing a little test. So there's 3 good questions that we should always ask a parent if we've got a shot to have a little interview with a parent. Does anybody know those 3 questions?
If there is any, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, is it like likes, dislikes, and strategies that really help?
Yeah, so things they love, things they hate, and any good strategies. So if you asked all those questions, you would have got answers like student dislikes crowds and unfamiliar situations. Student really likes routines and all types of vehicles, anything with wings or wheels or anything, and has a strong connection with his iPad. And some good support strategies can be to create a visual plan. Does anybody know what a visual plan is?
We can create a storyboard with pictures.
Yeah, perfectly. Yeah, so you can use the little pictograms, or you can even have some photos maybe on your phone that just kind of show exactly what the plan is for the next section of time. And that can really help lower anxiety for people. Other strategies they have listed here, first and then. Who knows what first and then is?
It's where you go like, if we go down this run, then we, play with like a stuffy or
Yeah, so it's a first and then is a strategy where you can get something done that you need or want to get done, with the agreements that after that, then they get to do something that they think is rewarding or fun. So exactly what you said, it could be any number of things too. Watch 2 minutes of a video, or build a snow person, or any number of things that they feel are a good reward. So really good strategy. And the other thing that they say in here as a support strategy is something called video modeling. Anybody know what video modeling is? I mentioned it a little bit earlier.
Like using videos off YouTube to show rather than doing a demo?
Yeah, wonderful. And it doesn't even need to be YouTube. It could be literally something that instead of you trying to demonstrate it in the whole world, you could maybe get your other instructor to videotape you really quickly. See, it shows my age when I say videotape. When you just have somebody video you doing the exercise and then show them the video instead of trying to ask them to focus on you. And because it's such a smaller screen and a little thing for them to focus on, we found studies show that that's a great way for people to absorb information versus being distracted by all the other things. So perfect. We are cooking on this. And what else did you learn from the great questions? I think Annie was suggesting they wanted to know any strategies for calming down or dealing with passionate moments. And on this report, it says that blowing on his fingers one by one, like slowly blowing out a candle, may work. Or playing with his favorite toy fire truck also is another good way to reduce some strategy.
So bring that along.
Yeah, so we're starting to get lots of information here. And even Derek just said he's starting to think about the lesson, like, oh yeah, we got to make sure we got the fire truck just in case we need that as a tool. So very cool. What else is on here that is interesting information? Best communication strategies are noted as being calm, so kind of a chill sort of voice. And if you can have visual supports, they say that as an aid, which kind of makes sense with that idea of having a visual plan as a good support strategy. Signs of distress that you might notice: grinding their teeth, humming loudly, or may hit if very agitated. Might hit you, might hit the ground, but some sort of swinging of limbs for sure. And then may even scream or throw things. So has anybody had a student that has any of those communication styles or communication distress signals?
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
I had to take care of one student that actually goes to the same school as me, and he tended to elope and throw things and have fights. So that's why his dad was there too. But there was a couple of times where he tried to run off into the out of bounds areas, which was interesting.
Awesome. And yeah, I've been right there with you, Jack. Absolutely. I know I used to hang out with one skier, and one of the things he would do right before he would get to a point where it was very difficult for him to understand what was going on and just kind of get overloaded, he would take off his gloves and throw them. And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh, we got to change something right now. So very cool. Other things that are noted in here, just so that you know, again, if you saw this on Snowline, you would have been able to see if they'd skied or snowboarded with us before. And this person, for this example tonight, is going to be a skier, and they ski pretty regularly, make long turns with lots of traversing, just like lots of new skiers do. And they are working to try and make a little bit shorter turns so that they can be a little more mobile on the mountains. So with all of that, I think that allows us to go on to the next screen, but that AOT really gave us a lot of information packed in and great questions and things you're observing. So thank you.
James, I would have another question for the parent regarding the swimming. Has
Yeah.
he taken swimming lessons, and how did they go?
Cool. Why do you like that question?
It would give me insight into how many other kids he can work with if he can, or if he had to have one-on-one swimming lessons.
Love it. And yeah, great question. And like you just said, it points you to some really interesting ideas and what you can get away with and what you will be effective for you. So cool.
Okay. And is he nonverbal?
Nope, totally verbal.
No,
Just
verbal.
chat with
Okay.
you. Yep, doesn't say anything about that. So yeah. Jack, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I was gonna say, in addition to what I think it was Rebecca that brought up the swimming lessons.
Yep.
And usually with those lessons, they come with comments about the student. So maybe there was something that they used swimming that might translate well to skiing.
100%. Yeah. Knowing whatever people have already had success on can definitely be clues to help us get into our lessons. I love that. Thank you. So this slide says, "Don't be that guy." I think we should change that to person, but that's okay. We're going to work through a scenario in a minute, and it's going to be a scenario that we keep playing with. So it's going to give you a little bit of what we already talked about. And then we're going to look at what happened on a lesson with an instructor, and we'll kind of break through that and kind of see what we learned. So does anybody like reading? Anybody want to read this page or the first part of it? Nobody likes reading?
Okay, I volunteer. Okay. But be warned, it's not my forte. Okay. Jordan is in a lesson. He is a 12-year-old boy living with a level 1 autism spectrum disorder, ASD, and an anxiety disorder. He communicates fairly well verbally and likes seamlessness in his routine. He has a habit of doing the same run over and over, performing large turns and traversing across the hill for speed control. His routine is well established. Due to a competition today, his usual run has a race course on it and is filled with ski racers and spectators who are not always respecting the Alpine Responsibility Code. They are coming down the slope at great speeds and limited control. This situation causes Jordan to become very anxious.
Awesome. That was amazing, Teresa. You did perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ah. All right. So let's get in this next slide. And this is kind of what the student or the instructor worked through and were some of the strategies to try and get the day going. Anybody else want to volunteer to read?
Sure. I will. Okay, I'll go ahead. To try to avoid the chaos, the instructor takes him to a new run, but fails to prepare him for or give him any information about it. This new run is steep and narrow and is unknown to him. To remain in control would require him to ski or ride faster and make shorter turns than he is used to. But Jordan stops making turns and picks up too much speed. His anxiety is at a maximum high and he loses control of his skiing/riding abilities. The instructor comes to realize that the situation is quickly escalating. Jordan's words and body language, he is humming loudly, shouting and grinding his teeth, clearly indicate that he is on the verge of panic, and this will likely lead to a major anxiety crisis. Jordan falls and begins banging the snow with his fist. He is clearly very agitated and upset. He is shouting insults at the instructor and begins to threaten them, throwing one of his poles, his ski goggles, in another direction. He does not want to go down the new run and refuses to move.
Sounds fun. All right. We will come back to this in a moment and break that apart and see what we could do better. But before we get there, let's look at a couple causes, or the three main causes for anxiety, even though there's a fourth denoted there. So anybody oh, I'm going too quick. Anybody have any idea what lack of control is?
The environment isn't under the control of the child. It's like too much. There's too many things.
Yeah, so 100% what you're saying is that you are now in a situation that you cannot control the outcomes of, and you are just in the middle of it for sure. If we think about what we just read, are there any points where you think that Jordan felt a lack of control?
The new run.
New run, for sure.
A new way of skiing.
So a new way of skiing. Yep, being asked of that. Although that might fall. Well, you know what? Let's look at all the three words and then we'll decide, as we kind of go back through it, what fits in. So we have lack of control is one thing. Something being unpredictable would be another. And then something being novel or new. So those are the three things that can really heighten your anxiety. So back to the turn shape, I would think that is more about a new thing than it is a lack of control thing. Although the fact that he can't perform it would definitely be uncontrol. That would be a lack of control for sure. Going back to here and what else is going on. So as he kind of goes through, so there is first thing, the instructor takes him on a run to avoid all the skiers and all this stuff that is going on. Is that any of these? All the people everywhere? Is that a lack of
the race hill he was going to be on was completely busy, and it will be a situation where he would be out. There'd be no control.
So possibly no control and maybe unpredictable. It sounded like a lot of the people around there were not great skiers or snowboarders. So there's definitely some unpredictability there for sure. So then Jordan starts to make some turns. He picks up too much speed. So that talks about his lack of control. And then his anxiety is an all-time maximum. Just try to see if there's anything else in there that kind of fits into that really quickly. How about when Jordan falls?
Well, I guess he wants to remove himself from this area and he can't.
Yep.
He can't.
Yeah, well, he wants to get out. He's just like,
control his emotions, and that's why he's
right.
And also he's really nervous about a race. So anything that may support any doubts about his skills is probably not advisable. So falling will just really strengthen any idea that he has in the back of his head that he can't do the race.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, bang on. If I look at the notes that are just under here, just talking about the run, the fact that the run is now steeper is both new, unpredictable, and lacks control. The fact that the run is narrower, also new, unpredictable, and lacks control. Jordan could not do the large turns that he normally likes to do. So we learned that earlier. So that's a lack of control. And then Jordan's increased speed, lack of control. Jordan's speed control decreasing is a lack of control. So lots to unpack there, lots of stuff. When we look at these control, unpredictability, novelty, and ego, if you look at the first four or the first letters of each of those, it's C-U-N-E or Kuhn, if you want to say it that way. In French, it's C-I-N-E, which is where all this research has come from, where the I, if you speak French, is imperfectibility. So, but the exact same words meaning exactly the same thing. Let's just watch this quick video and tell me if this is not great. If it's bad, I'll send you the link and you can watch it, but hopefully we'll be able to watch it through here. And this is just a little bit about self-regulation.
The sound may not be good.
Successful people have strong self-regulation skills. They use them every day. The skills help them
Is it good or bad for people?
It's fine for me.
Yeah.
That's okay.
consciously direct, sustain, and shift their attention when necessary. They help them monitor and manage their thoughts, behavior, and emotions in this complicated world of ours. 3 of the self-regulation skills, known as executive function skills, are cognitive. These are used to monitor and manage attention, thoughts, and behavior. A 4th self-regulation skill is the ability to monitor and manage emotions. These skills are not inborn, but they are teachable, and we depend on them every day, especially when the going gets rough. Just like adults, when students are upset or angry, it's hard for them to use their executive function skills because their strong emotions take over. This can also make it difficult for them to listen, remember rules, and stay focused on learning. So, learning to monitor and manage emotions allows students to recognize their strong feelings and use strategies to calm down. Then they can use their executive function skills again. And research shows students with strong self-regulation skills have higher academic achievement and are less likely to act in impulsive or aggressive ways, or to withdraw when overwhelmed. They're also more likely to get along well with others and have strong social skills. Students with poor self-regulation skills can have emotional and behavioral problems and academic trouble, and are more likely to be expelled from school, starting as early as preschool. When students learn and practice self-regulation skills, they can build academic achievement, social competence, and positive growth throughout their lives.
So after watching that, does anybody have a nice little sort of definition for what self-regulation is?
Way to calm yourself down if you're feeling a lot of anxiety.
Yeah, definitely part of it.
I think it's more or less noticing the signs of anxiety happening before you actually get to that meltdown point where you can't actually control.
Noticing triggers.
Anything else to add?
Triggers.
I'd say it's the ability to regulate your emotions regardless of the environment that you're in. And if you do escalate, being able to bring yourself down by yourself, or get yourself out of that scenario using something physical or mental.
Cool. All good parts of it. What's really hard to do when someone has strong emotions? Has anybody ever had strong emotions? What happens when you got some strong emotions going on?
You may say some things you don't want to or don't mean.
That is very possible. I also find personally my listening skills decrease a little bit. Anybody else? Anybody ever feel like rage, or like you feel like some extra energy in your body that wants to escape, or
It's like a nuclear reactor.
It's right.
It's a nuclear reactor.
A nuclear reactor. It definitely can be, depending on what's going on. Yeah, emotions can really take you on a bit of a ride for sure. How can we or how do we sort of regulate those strong emotions? Does anybody have any good tactics that they use in their own lives, or
Noticing the triggers.
Breathe.
Breathe, yeah.
breathe? Yeah.
I guess think about the things that you can affect and can't affect, and if you can't affect something, then that's a way for me to calm down. So I can't really affect traffic or whatever's bugging me right now, so it helps me calm myself. Remember, I can't change what's happening. Breathe.
Cool. I'm also a fan of a bit of exercise. Go for a walk, do something just to I don't even know. I think the movement sometimes is just good for me.
Hmm.
But
Exercise is a good one, yeah. Skiing is a good one for me to.
how well, and what do you think the best way for us to learn about our students calming down strategies?
That's nice.
Ask what? Sorry,
We could ask their parents.
ask their parents. Yeah, ask them. Ask their parents. Anything else that would be a good resource for us? Maybe
People.
the ski portal. Yeah, so maybe on Snowline.
Medical waivers, the other
Yeah,
medical.
so in their profile on Snowline, these questions are actually asked. So hopefully the parents or they have taken time to fill them in and give us some clues. But I also think it's important as we learn things to go back into their profile and add stuff and just say, hey, you know what? Entry, James Peters, we found this today was really effective and da-da-da. So cool.
Right directly in the profile or in the lesson logs?
You know what? If it's something that's really going to help a lot of people, I would tend to put it right into the profile.
Okay.
And I would just put a note. I would put a note with your name beside it, and
Yeah.
just say, "Yep, Stanley, March 23rd was on a lesson and found this to be a very effective strategy." And that way, if someone doesn't take time to see all the lesson logs, then that part will follow them. So it can be great. Oh, and look at these are all the questions that we just had. Perfect. I love when that happens. I don't know why that's on that page, but that works out great. Anybody brave enough to talk about a real time in their life where they had some serious anxiety or nervousness, and what were some of the strategies that you had to get out of it?
My heart rate goes up a lot before like
Okay.
exams and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. So like usually I listen to music or like I go for a walk.
Cool. Music can be a great one. I love that. Do you have a certain type of music that works better than others?
Yeah, like Imagine Dragons or something, and not like something that's like sad.
Something that's sad.
No, like something that's kind of like motivating and not sad.
Not
Yeah.
sad. Sorry. Something's got a bit more up tempo and yeah, cool. Anybody else have any other good stories?
Video games?
Video games. Tell me more.
Like
So
first person shooter games.
Is there a particular time you like to play these more often than others?
Yeah.
It's like TikTok videos. Take your mind off things for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to share some stuff with you. I mean, I had a brother who last year died because he decided to use fentanyl and turned out to be a bad batch. And that set me on a bit of an emotional spin for a little while. And what ended up really helping was getting on some longer hikes with people that I really know care for me and were smart enough just to not talk to me and just kind of walk in the woods with me until I had something that I wanted to talk about. So, and yeah, just getting outside and getting to connected to nature for me is one of those things that can be very healing. So with that happy note, let's keep moving along. Unless anybody else wants to share anything, or even just the good strategies that they know. You don't have to always share the stuff, but
The
I
only,
have one. Oh, you go first.
oh, very quick. The only strategy that works for me for now is I explode and I need to be left alone. Do not talk to me. Do not ask, are you okay? That does not help. Not even a little bit. Obviously, I'm not okay. Asking is only showing me that you have noticed and that, yes, I'm making a scene. So for me, just give me 5 minutes and I'm back to normal with a smile on my face, but need to be left alone.
I've been told in those circumstances, if you tell someone just to calm down, that's really helpful.
Fuck no.
No, not the case.
No,
No,
no.
I,
You
I
okay?
think we would all agree. That's somebody
Yeah.
else was trying to say something there.
Yeah.
Oh
I
yeah,
was gonna
I have
oh.
like a skiing specific one. Like if I'm at the top of a run and I'm kind of nervous, like I stab my both poles into the ground twice really quickly, and then like for some reason that just helps.
Annie, were you a
It's like a
racer
little
at some
routine.
point?
No, it just works.
Wow, that sounds like a total racer thing. I love it. Stanley, was there something you were going to add?
Yeah, I was going to say sometimes it's people get overwhelmed by stimulus overload. So just closing your eyes, maybe covering your ears, and you know, reducing some of the some of these sounds or sights, it might calm people down as well.
Nice. Well, and people may not even know this, but in our training facility on Grass Mountain at the yurt there's a number of ear covering devices.
Yes.
Some of them are noise canceling, some of them you can put on music, and they're all there to help facilitate some of the strategies that our students already might use. So that's cool. Anything else? Otherwise, I'll move on to the next slide.
I think it helps for ASD students. I think it helps for them to, because they're really apprehensive about what's coming and the process, and maybe they can visualize the end of it. So if they're really nervous about this run and they can actually see the bottom of it, it helps to encourage them to visualize themselves at the bottom, congratulating themselves and all happy that they actually finished it and stuff like that. Visualizing the end of it helps, I guess. Yeah.
I love that. Have you tried that with a few students?
Yep.
And you've got some really good results?
I find it helps. Yeah.
That's very cool. I love that. Awesome. Let's we're gonna put up another quick video. And this one is about the 3 Fs, and it's not what you think, all you dirty birds.
Humans, like all species, have self-protective mechanisms to help us survive. Our fight, flight, or freeze survival response, the FFF for short, is designed to mobilize our brain and body to fight an enemy, run from an avalanche, or freeze to hide from a predator. Our brain sometimes misinterprets safe situations as dangerous and can set off false alarms. When the amygdala, our brain's watchdog, senses and barks danger, our body enters survival mode quicker than our rational mind can react, leaving it trying to figure out why we feel in mortal danger. When the FFF alarm is sounded, we start to breathe more quickly and shallow, causing hyperventilation, and our heart starts beating very fast. These changes can cause strong chest pain, which many people interpret as symptoms of a heart attack, when in fact it's just a result of the FFF activation, which can be relieved through breathing exercises. As a way of getting you ready for action, blood is diverted towards the major muscle groups. Blood flows away from our digestive system, causing the bladder to relax, and we might feel the need to pee. The mouth goes dry, nausea can occur, and we get the butterflies feeling in our stomach. Blood also rushes from extremities, leaving us with cold hands, but often sweaty palms as the action-ready body starts sweating to avoid overheating. Legs and hands can start trembling and feel weak, while tension starts building in big muscles like the thighs, neck, and shoulders. In our head, FFF alarms cause our brain to focus on negative memories, probably so it can scan them to avoid danger and negative outcomes. We get tunnel vision as our pupils dilate to increase our focus and long vision, but as a result, we lose our peripheral vision. FFF activation also reduces our ability to recognize differences in facial expressions. Too much oxygen and too little CO2 can result in dizziness or lightheadedness, which many people interpret as signs that they might faint. But because fainting is caused by a drastic drop in blood pressure, and because the FFF increases both our heart rate and blood pressure, it's nearly impossible to faint when this happens. Over time, depression, anxiety, and high levels of stress all harm the brain's ability to slow or cancel false FFF activations, causing them to happen more often. Knowing the symptoms of false activations makes it easier to recognize and reduce their effects. At Tanky Boxing, you can learn both bottom-up and top-down techniques to reduce false FFF activation and bring your body back to balance.
So a good little video, packed with information. The amount of stuff we just found out there. But FFF, flight, or freeze. I'm sure this is something most people are familiar with. What does it say exciting in the notes? Yeah, I mean, it is, this is way back to our cave person brain that we had this kind of all installed to help us survive. Does anybody ever had an experience where they were straight in flight mode? They just wanted to run away?
Yeah, in the past, when I was still a more moody teenager, I had a big fight with my parents and I ran away to my room. And that was the flight response. And my dad obviously came down and I threw a hole through my wall. Yeah. It's probably the closest I got to it.
So that was
Other than
that
the
was
time
fight
someone
mode.
tried to beat me up. Yeah, it was a big moment.
That was flight mode for sure. Wow. I know sometimes if something feels scary, or even if I'm at like something that I know I might get scared, like a haunted house or something, I'll feel that flight. Like I want to get out of there. I don't even know why. I just want to move. I want to get away.
I'm not comfortable with heights, so if I get close to cliffs and stuff, I get that feeling where I want to be out of here. I don't want to be close to this anymore.
Yep.
It happened to me once. I was in Whistler and I'm super, super scared of snakes. And I was in a campground and I went to the washroom. And when in my way back, I found a snake. So I try another way and I found another snake. So I was like, okay, I cannot definitely stay here one night. I mean, I'm dying. So I started running. I went to the place where we had the tent and I was like, went to the top of the table and I started telling my partner, like, I cannot stay here. Like, I need really to leave. And he was like, what's going on? I was like, please, 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 please. And he was like, okay, calm down. So it was a funny one.
Stanley, I saw your message. I'll record this and send it to you later so you can finish all the rest. But thanks for showing up. If you have to take off, no worries. Just getting back to this, the part that I found out interesting about that little video was the physical symptoms that might be present when you hit this FFF mode. So tunnel vision, dryness of mouth, tense muscles, sweating, sick to your stomach, need to pee, maybe dizzy, lightheaded, can't concentrate, flushed cheeks, difficulty breathing, difficult swallowing, heart pounding, and some trembling. And I thought that was interesting. And I like the explanation that you really cannot faint. It's impossible, despite the fact that you might feel like that. If you're really in this mode, that's never going to happen. So any other comments about that little video? Good little bit of information. Definitely, I know in some of my students, I've seen them get to one or multiple of these stages when things are not going exactly as they had expected. So
Yeah, I would say it doesn't necessarily even have to be physical danger. It could be psychological too. Like after a big breakup, you could throw up constantly or having to run away places. It's psychological trauma can do that.
absolutely, yeah. Well, and then to that, there'd be an interesting question of how often are we really in like physical danger, or are we just perceiving it as physical danger? Maybe with Derek and being near cliffs, that is a bad thing. But I think sometimes, and I've been guilty of this, like you'll be at the top of a ski run and you just get really, like you start to like, feel like you get frozen a little bit. And maybe you use Annie's, smash the poles twice and you just go for it and you're on it and you're like, oh, this is nothing. This is fine. There's that thing inside you that's just stopping you for a minute, which is kind of cool that we're built that way. So let's go on to a 6-step process. And this is the part that we're going to play with quite a bit on the weekend evaluation. And we'll work through some role plays so you just get to be more comfortable with this. But 6 steps as we see it: observe, stop, assist, self-regulate, evaluate, validate, and plan. So we'll get to see this quite a bit. If we talk about all of those, any idea what observe might be?
The nervous things the student may be doing to show that he's being those anxious, like grinding his teeth or humming.
Yeah. Well, and observe is great because that's part of our AOT already. So we really need to activate that O part and yeah, just start paying attention to what is going on. What do we know is happening? What are we recognizing as new things?
There you go. Yeah.
Look at any of the factors that may be out of their control, or what were some of those other things? Out of control or
Unknown, new,
new and
unpredictable.
unpredictable. Yeah. So thinking about that sometimes in that terms can help you get to a better observation place and try and sort of create the picture. I bet you all know what stop means. Stop. Yep. If we can stop whatever activity or whatever that moment is, and make it a safe place where someone can start to calm down and gain some more control, absolutely. If and I will say this, if you're in a situation and you cannot stop there, then as quickly as you can get somewhere that is safe to stop. Make sense? Cool.
Yeah.
Once we're in that safe spot or that stopped area where we can start to move on in this 6-step process. Next thing, assist self-regulation. So for our student in our little scenarios, does anybody remember some of the things that helped him self-regulate?
Blowing on his fingers.
Blowing on his fingers. Yeah. So, reminding someone about strategies that they know already well would be you assisting. Very
It's
simple.
funny that you say that, because one of the students that we had, she had those techniques to calm herself down, but if you mentioned it, it might make her more anxious because she knows that she knows that she's getting worked up and you're identifying it, and so it made her a little bit more, make her upset more about it.
Absolutely.
Which I thought was interesting, but
so now we get to the evaluate part. And again, we've already talked about the CUNE or CUN as sort of the things that are probably causing the anxiety. So we need to dig into those a little bit more and think and even help our student evaluate which of those or combination of them has really got us to this point of having all this anxiety. So asking very specific questions about all of this, control, unpredictability, and novelty, can lead us to understanding what's going on better. So what would be a question, thinking about what has happened with Jordan and that we skied down this run and he started to make some shorter turns and got out of control and fell and there's still people and it's narrow and all this stuff. What are some questions that we might ask him to find out which one of these is really aggravating him the most or sending him in the most amount of anxiety right now? And the crickets start to chirp. Cheep, 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 cheep.
Is he aware? Like if you ask him, oh, what's wrong, or is it this or that? How do we know that this child is aware enough to actually verbalize it? Or is he?
I guess we just start asking some questions. It sounds so simple, right? But like the first thing is like, oh my gosh, what is wrong?
Is it too steep for you? Like, is that what's bothering you? Is it the narrowness that's making you anxious? I guess those just to start off the conversation with him.
Absolutely. Yep. And chances are, if you just the first question, just oh my gosh, what's happened? It's a really good open question.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm feeling really scared. Oh, cool. What are you scared about? Was that too steep? Did you get going too fast? Are you concerned about how many people are there around? Are all these things that that might have been the thing? If we can help narrow it down a little bit, then chances are we can help get to this last part. But before we get to that, there's something called validate. Anybody know what validate is?
Understanding their point of view, like, yeah, no, there is a lot of people here, and you're right, it is steeper than the runs you've been on before.
Yep. Well, and even more than that, we can reassure them that the way they're feeling is totally fine, that it's okay for them to feel like that. So to say, oh my gosh, yeah, that is, I can see that is a really steeper than you've done for you in the past. That must have been really hard for you, or that must have brought on a lot of fear, or yeah, that must have been really frustrating when you couldn't stop. So to be able to, identify what the thing is and associate with how they're feeling and just saying, yeah, hey, that is fine, man. It's all good. Perfect. In this part, again, it says just encourage the student to communicate their specific feelings and their concerns as best as they can verbally, so, or non-verbally if that is an effective method. And then the plan number 6, or the 6th step, is just plan. So any idea what the plan is?
Maybe if you don't have something to write on picture board, maybe verbalize this, break it down in steps, and we're going to do 2 turns. We're going to traverse across just to get down to the next level. We'll take a break there. We'll see where we're at, or to try to break it down so it's smaller steps for him.
Great concept. Yeah. So you came up with a strategy to move down the hill slowly and safely, and you created points for them to have a break if they want to. I love that. Anybody have anything else to add there?
Maybe let him play with his fire truck if he has anything like that. Let him take that break.
Yeah, so that would be back to that step 3, sort of assist in self-regulation. So if they aren't sort of self-regulating by that point, pulling out the fire truck, absolutely. You could totally first and then that fire truck. You know what?
Yeah.
let's first do little, 3 turns down this part. We'll come to a stop, and then you can play with the fire truck for a minute or whatever. Absolutely. And that could be part of the plan. I always like plans that lead to more plans. Hey, why don't we do this little part and then we'll make another plan? Oh, okay. That sounds good. So offering choices and options can also be a great way to help build your plan. So anybody know why choices are good?
There you go. That was good. Sense of control.
Absolutely. So when we talked about that, the lack of control is something that brings on anxiety. Giving people choices can help bring back that control really, really quickly. Yep. Beautiful. If you only, I love this number 3. When you only have one run to go down, what are some choices you can offer? And so this is talking about giving closed choices, where you will have to go down this run. So if you give too many choices, you may get a result you don't want. But if you list all the choices that are an option, then you can allow them to be back in control again. So what are all the choices you could be if you're halfway down a run and you got to go down it?
Maybe for this next section, we can either do 2 turns to get down to that next flat area, or we can side slip.
Yep.
You could even just ask which way they want to go. Maybe they want to go far right, far left, or just down the middle.
That's a great one. I love that. Yeah, beautiful.
Letting the cut up into 2. Okay, so watch me the first half, and I'll have you do your favorite thing.
Couldn't quite hear you.
Speak up.
If you can just go down the cut for the first 4 lessons, use the top half of the cut and say, okay, we're going to follow the leader for the first half of the cut, and then you're going to choose your favorite thing and do that snowboarding move on the bottom half of the cut.
Cool.
Yeah.
Love it. Some of the things they have listed here in the notes. Are you ready to start now, or do you want to start in 1 minute? Again, we're going down the cut. You want to go now, or you want to go in a minute? Great. Do you want to stand up yourself, or do you want me to give you a hand? Do you want to carry your poles, or do you want me to carry your poles? Do you want to start with a left or a right turn? Oh, I like that one.
Nice.
That's a cool one. Yep. Do you want to start? It says, or with a heel or a toe turn if you're a snowboarder. Which instructor do you want to lead? Or do you want to lead, or do you want me to lead? Or how do you want to go down this? All those, I think, are really fun for someone to choose, as long as it really doesn't affect the safety of the outcome. Do you want to have your next break by the trees or by the snow gun? So again, giving them some sort of control on when the next stop is. We talked about number of turns and then a stop, so that was good. Ooh, how about this one? Do you want to do it in wedge or parallel turns? Well, that's a great one, right? The wedge for most people feels like a little slower, more in control. So if speed is a concern, maybe this is an easy way. And the last one, do you want to do some side slipping or make lots of turns? So lots of good strategies there. But again, that helps increase that control part so people feel like they're a little more in control. And I'm just realizing I'm already on slide 15 and I should just stop talking because my friend Teresa is going to take over. And Teresa, I apologize. I just got going on a roll. Are you happy to jump in?
Yeah, so
Cool.
good. You
I
can be on
totally
a roll.
just ripping through it. I'm like, cool, this is great. Let me stop sharing and I will let Teresa take over here. And I should have
mean,
already given you control, Miss Teresa, so you should be able to
I
jump off.
don't want to stop you.
It's good.
Host disabled participant screen sharing.
Did I do that? How about now?
Okay, let me see. Oh, now.
Perfect.
Okay. Just make this bigger. So you kind of skipped that one, so we're going to go into this one.
Did I totally just skip a page? That happens.
Yeah. This one. I don't know if you want to like go over it, but what do you think?
Sure, yeah, talk about it. I'm in. Yeah, I didn't realize I missed one. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. So this is tips for making a plan, but again, we kind of talked about this already. So include the student, make them, so thinking about that CUNE abbreviation, make them feel in control, make them part of the decision making. So who can tell me what could be an strategy, like it says there, to set them up for success? So you have to go down this steep, narrow run. You've already had a meltdown. What could you do to get safely down?
I think we probably just came up with a whole bunch of and I apologize because I jumped, and I think we came up with a bunch of strategies unless there's any others there.
Yeah, it's this, these 3 slides are kind of like the same, going over the plan, like making the plan and all that. So
yeah, I will tell you, I will come up with 2 other strategies because I thought
yes,
just 2 when we were talking about it and I didn't get there. One, depending on where you are on the run, you could walk back out.
yes,
You could
exactly.
totally walk up the run if you're not too deep down it or if it's a short run. And in really major, like if you are at a point where you're at a loss and it's cold and things are changing, you can always call ski patrol and, you know, tell them what's going on. Say, hey, this is not an emergency. Here's where I'm at. I'm concerned this is what's going on, and we would like to get a toboggan ride off the run. And they will totally come and help as well. That's flying last resort. And funny enough, I used it in the last few days.
Oh,
Yeah, we had a woman. She's like 36 or something, and she was convinced that she had hurt herself, or at least that's what she was telling us. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, I've got all this pain and da da da." And you know, so I got called just by the role I'm at festival right now, and went over and saw her, and instantly I'm like, I don't know, but she keeps, you know, she's saying in pain. I mean, someone says they're in pain, let's call patrol and stop messing around. And while patrol is coming, I'm chatting with her more and looking at what's going on, and I can't find anywhere where it's really painful. Like when I touched around the area, she wasn't really complaining. But anyways, we bundled it all up. She met 2 very nice, handsome patrollers, and we took her down to the bottom of the run. She'd been complaining about a sore ankle. She got down to the bottom, jumped out of the rig, and ran to her mom.
there you go.
And then skied the next 4 days.
All is well that ends well.
But not knowing, I mean, that was the safe thing to do. Did it affect anything? No, patrol wasn't busy, you know, all things good. And it got us out of a situation where she could have been there for quite a while, with whatever was going on for her. So sometimes.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys mentioned this, but one thing that I like to do when we get to a point where the student is not comfortable or it's a little bit past his level, is just go back on the steps. Yes, they can do turns in a certain scenario, but it would be great to, so you're all skiers, instead of parallel turns, go back to pizza, wedge turns, whatever it is it works for them to get down safely. I do it when I get into a situation where it's too steep for me. I go into side slip, which is parallel board, like that, to get me out of trouble. So I really like that. Sometimes, for example, follow the leader, it could be too much when they've had just an episode. So always have that in your tool bag of going back a few steps and just make it easy, safe, down. So another thing that I want to point out is sometimes when we meet our students, or it's the first season that we have them, we don't know them that much. So we may get into the situation where they get triggered. But after that, now you know, you're aware. So always keep on checking, making sure that they are okay. And so, for example, after they've been triggered, don't go too far out. If you're doing follow the leader, stay close to them. So all those things, make sure that you do. And then now we're going to go to the next slide, which we already did. And again, I don't have the option of sending you to different rooms. And anyway, there's not a lot of people. So let's keep it all like in the same conversation. You already kind of discussed this, but any other ideas of how you would get this student down to the lodge if you want to, okay, you just had a meltdown, you've gone through all the 6 steps, you're in the plan step, what would you say to the student? If anyone wants to jump and tell us what they would do.
Maybe offer.
Oh, I think in the beginning, we read about how Jordan really likes like his iPad. So if we had like 2 instructors, could have someone like film what it's like going down first, and then just like message it over for Jordan to see.
So you mean message over like a picture of the iPad?
Yeah, or like a video of the run.
Oh, a video of the run.
I don't know.
It's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Can we make a deal like we get off this run, then we'll go in for a hot chocolate? Try and get some motivation.
Yeah. Never forget about the motivational tools that we have. They are super good to motivate our students to get down. So if you just brought a countdown strip, well, we're going to do 5 fire engine stops to put out fire, or the first at den, anything that you may have in your arsenal. Any other ideas?
I like that. I felt like you kind of said just play fire trucks.
Yeah.
Let's.
Oh.
I think there's a fire burning down there. I see some smoke. Let's go.
And make siren noises and
oh yeah,
anything to bring that mood back up. And someone mentioned very nicely, I think it was Derek, break it down. Since they've had a meltdown, it's really easy for them to get worked out again. So if you go, yeah, from, okay, let's go to those trees over there and put the fire over there. And it's a short thing that they can side slip. Oh, sorry, there's no order. They can pizza there.
we can side slip. We got that skill, yo.
That's true. You guys can also, but do you call it side slipping?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, so, and then you have a break. Blah, blah, blah. So break it down is a really great tool to have too. Any other ideas that people may have after this conversation?
I think we accidentally stumbled a lot on them when we were talking about choices,
right.
like just offer to ski or ride in front of them or behind them.
Yeah.
Is there anything else in there, T, that you saw?
So no, we've said this stopping often. We can take our skis off if needed be. If they are done for the day skiing, for example, we've had, I'm sure you guys have had students with that situation. It's like, done, no more, I'll take them off. There's no need to push it. They're not going to enjoy it, right? So the riding in front, again, reassuring, motivational strategies, that's great, and choices to give them back that control that they lost. So building up that ego, taking away, removing the feeling of lack of control. It's still a new situation. You cannot take that away, but you can try to make it fun, try to encourage them. And yeah. Okay. Any questions? Good, because hopefully you have a good memory, because the next slide, I'm going to quiz you on the steps. Yeah. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people and 6 steps. So the faster you are answering, the more chances you have and the more options you have. So go nuts. What's the first
Observes.
Observe. Ha.
one? Nice.
Next one's stop, right? Observe, stop.
Yeah, okay.
The next one's assist self-regulation.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, very good one. Yeah.
Okay, Jack, I don't think you've said anyone.
It's either the next one or the one after that is validate.
Oh, I think you are very correct. Almost. I was mistaken too. Okay, I always mix those ones.
I heard
Validate
you
and
say
plan.
evaluate. That's what I heard. I thought you said evaluate, Jack. I thought
Right,
that's-
right. Yeah, my headphones are not working tonight. Okay, evaluate. Nice. And last one, Jack. I think you can help us.
No, I don't know. Totally.
Oh, what's the next one? Starts with a V.
Uh,
You just said it.
West Virginia.
Yes, correct. Validate. And the last one,
Is
everyone
plan.
together. 1, 2,
plan.
3.
Plan.
Plan.
Good. So it makes sense.
Mhm.
We need to be observant by using what type of mechanism that we have. Let's put it another way. During our lesson, we're always analyzing our student to see how they're doing, if they're okay and all that. What is that technique called?
Well, that's our AOTs.
Yes. So we are constantly observing as part of our AOT. Now, if we detect any signs and symptoms of them getting upset, the first thing is stop whatever you're doing and give them space. Remember me. I explode. There is a radius of safety that you have to be around me. Do not cross it. So stop. Don't talk. Don't do anything. Just let them be.
How long?
Until they there is not a time. For me, just at least 1 minute. Give me 1 minute. And it can feel a long time when you're just not talking and you're seeing them being worked out, but you can count in your head, but at least 1 minute.
I think until I really see them start to have behaviors that look like they're calming down, they seem more relaxed. Maybe they may not verbalize it to me, but there's definitely body language that you could pick up to see if they're not banging their fists, they're not grinding their teeth, not humming. You see that they've calmed themselves. Maybe it's time to now
Absolutely.
go on to the next step.
Yes. So sometimes you can see some symptoms, but yeah, definitely it has to be a little bit of a time. So once they've calmed down a little bit, you've noticed that it's okay to talk to them again, then we help them with the self-regulation. You just doing that without telling them, do my breathing or whatever, they may just catch on it. So remember that person that didn't want to be told, let's self-regulate. No, just, you yourself doing it, they may like catch up on it, but you're not telling them to do it. So yeah. Then we kind of evaluate. We make a little bit of diagnosis of what happened. What do you think caused this situation? Why didn't you cut it on time? What could you have done differently? But the next thing is to validate with them once you know what caused the problem. It's like, yes, this is a new thing. It's more difficult. I get the same feeling. I was scared too, but now we're going to make it better. And now in the plan, you involve them. You give them close choices. You make it safe. You break it down. Any questions? Okay.
I will give the hint that knowing these 6 steps is very important for your evaluation on the weekend.
Yes. Yes.
Just if you would like a hint.
Thank you. That is a very nice hint. Okay. So, yeah, so here it says parent and caregiver involvement. Probably it's not the first time that this has happened to our student. So they are going to have tools that work very nicely. They can forewarn you that this could happen or what could trigger it or the signs. So make sure to ask them. But also, after it happened, you need to tell them that it happened and try to be positive about it. So that is, I believe, our next slide. It's the post-care and debrief. So it has happened. You've made it safe to the launch. And now it's time to spin it around. So I'm very quickly going to share this story because I didn't have the chance to do it before. I went backcountry skiing not that long ago, and I was having a blast. I was split boarding, and I was having a blast going up. But because it's a really bad avalanche year, we chose a very safe terrain. And it was my first time. So yeah, I was a little bit scared. So yeah, we decided to choose a very safe terrain, which meant it was not very steep. And in the backcountry, it's not like in a resort that everything is going down. It goes up and down and da-da-da. So I switched into my board from ski mode to board mode and started going down. And I had a massive backpack, very heavy. That was not allowing me to turn my head. It was a mess. Anyway, I was falling in like 5 feet deep powder, beautiful powder, but I was getting stuck constantly. And I got so worked out. Like one of my worst, like this time of behavior. I was yelling at the top of my lungs, crying, everything all at once. And my friends know me, so they stayed away from me, which was great. Except one moment when my friend said, "Oh, maybe you should transition." I was like, "Shut up! I've been listening to you all day. I'm going to do it my way." Yes, that's how bad it was. Anyway, at the end, I said I apologized, and myself, I did it to myself. But I was like, okay, what happened? How can I make it better this time? So I made it all into a positive experience. So, well, now I know that my backpack doesn't work, but I can still do it. And next time I'm going to choose a steeper terrain, blah, blah, blah. So I switched it around to make it a positive event, and I'm going to go backcountry skiing again. So this is very important. If you don't make this this experience positive to them, they may not want to snowboard again. So pretty much what it says there. Focus on the positive. Tell them, whoa, you went down that super steep hill. That's so much more than you can do. And it was a little bit difficult for the both of us, but we fought through it and we put out so many fires and it was so much fun. So how would you guys at the end of the run switch everything around to make it a positive experience?
A strategy I've used is often the student will, oh, I fell 12 times, or I didn't do that. I really wanted to do that jump and I totally missed it. And every time they say that, I have a simple sentence structure and I'm like, yeah, but, and then I say what they actually did.
That's great. Yeah.
It's always a, yeah, but you did this, you think, and then it just makes them really see all the good stuff.
Yeah, so shifting that focus on the negative into the positive. Yes, and if they say, oh, but I fell and I couldn't do it. No, but you end up coming down very nicely, safely, and we put on so many fires. Celebrate also. It's like, yeah, you fell and it was excellent. It was a great fall. My God, I cannot fall as good as you. I tried. I don't know.
Other good
Any
strategies I've had, one is if it's practical to go back to the top of the run where the sign is for the run and take a photo with it. Like we got that one done. And for some students, if you still have a paper map and you're highlighting the runs that you've conquered, then you get to highlight that one off together. Can be a good one too.
nice. Any examples of how to praise your student?
Well, I think that would be a praise part for me. Where the positive
I think
reframe is more about, taking a situation and kind of flipping it on them. Where the praise is, yeah, the picture, I'm a big high five person too. I don't know. High fives, low five, side five, around the back five, over the top five.
yeah. So yeah, remembering the fun part, or like focusing on that, and then praising them. And yeah, like as I was telling at the beginning, that parent caregiver involvement is when you're going to tell their parents, say it in a way that is a positive experience. It's like, well, we had to go through this like very hard run and we had to stop, but we managed to do it so well, and I'm so proud of this student, blah, blah, blah. So try to make it a cool experience, not focus on the negative.
Love it.
Okay. Any questions?
Nope.
Okay.
What
so,
about the last, sorry, what about the last one? The parent thing, parent and
Yeah.
care, what, did we go over that? Did I miss it? Or
I think we're
um,
about that.
so yeah, at the end of the run, you're going to tell the parents what happened, but when you tell it, try to be positive about it, not focus on the negative. So it's like, yeah, we had to change our usual run, and it was a lot of fun. We had to stop a few times to catch our breath, but then we managed to finish, and it was amazing. We put out so many fires, blah blah.
It's
No,
also
in a-
good to have your student, if you can, tell the parent what we did. It's like, oh, do you want to tell them where we went? That was so amazing. But why don't you tell them?
yeah,
Also involve them. That's a great thing. Let them tell their parents. And again, if they start focusing on the negative, you can use your strategy, Rebecca, of like, yes, but refocus into the positive side of things. Yeah. Okay, so we move to the next one. Now, we're going to do an exercise all together again, where we are going to try to avoid, now that we know all these things, we're going to try to avoid to get to that melt point part of the thing. So your student is Jordan. You know that run is going to be closed, and instead of being that first instructor that wasn't really ready, prepared to take Jordan onto this new run and have a successful ski ride, you're going to think about what would you do to not get to the point where Jordan has a meltdown. Go nuts.
I would think maybe break down the things that he didn't like into maybe smaller sections. Like, okay, so he didn't want to do short turns. He didn't want a lot of people. So maybe find a run that was similar to that run with the wide area, so we could still, maybe it's a new run, but it's still wide, so we can still have comfort level with what he was doing before.
Yes, so find to the best of your options the best run for them, since they cannot do their preferred run. Yes. However, what about if there is no option? Is this
I would say maybe go back to a run that he did before that was maybe easier than that run. Maybe the beginner area that he learned on, that was something familiar to him.
Okay.
Because if they're out there racing, that's probably not a beginner run. So maybe we could go step back and go one of the ones that were easier that he's done previous.
Yes, so that's definitely a good option. So this is their run. This instructor decided to go one up. You're deciding to go one down.
Correct.
Really good option. You can try. However, make sure that you are keeping your student challenged. So, like you run the risk of being too easy for these students, so being boring for them. So there is a nice a middle line between what they are enjoying and the difficulty. So try to have it in that sweet part. So maybe practice jumps.
Well, maybe we could, like go off to the easier run, but maybe stay on the side where those bumps and stuff tend to form, and we can play around in there.
Exactly. That's a great idea. Now, let's play with the scenario that the easier terrain is not so much of an option, though it's a great option, but just to keep the discussion. Imagine that for whatever reason the student doesn't want to go, or it's not open or whatever, and you have to go to a level up. What would you do?
You could show him like a video of the run, or just like walk through what the run's gonna look like. Like it's gonna be a bit steeper in the first part, and then gonna have a flatter part.
Really good. Yes, front loading them. Maybe even with a visual sketch or a video, whatever. Making sure that they know, so that unpredictability is not there. Great. So we've knocked one of the kunai thingies.
Maybe try and find two runs that are similar and give them a choice between them. So we have this one that we can go to, or this other one that we can go to.
Yes, giving them options always, giving that sense of control. Yes, absolutely. What else?
I will use, I mean, if I know the student and I know the things that likes, I will try to create a story as an excuse of why we are going up and try to play with that. So kind of creating imagination, it usually helps with the kids, I feel.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Absolutely. Making it fun. So front loading them and making it fun. That is a great recipe. What else?
Practicing in lieu of his high anxiety and nervousness about the race, I would be using less taxing, how do you say, less hard tactics. So I'm like, oh, we're gonna do the first top here, we're gonna just side slip, left then right, left foot and then right foot down, and then just use really simple tactics because it's a new run. He's really nervous about the race and he doesn't want to probably tax his legs too much.
Perfect.
So
yes.
I would do simple stuff.
Absolutely. Like if you have to go down this run for whatever reason, and it's too much for the student, bring it down in technique. Perfect. Yeah. Yes. So
I do stuff. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
I would only do stuff. What I really was trying to say was, yeah, I'd only do stuff that I knew he could really do well, that would reaffirm all of his basic skills so that he would go into the race really a lot more positive. Nothing that could reconfirm any weaknesses that he may have been displaying over the season.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. So like if he's doing these turns with traverse that he cannot do that, bring them back to the side slip so he can do it. Is safe, that his ego is safe too, and you're still working on technique. So yeah, it's a win-win. Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Oh, regress to build confidence. That's what Alex said.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
What if I got 2 poles and put chopsticks in between them and make it look like a fire ladder, and then we each hang on a part of the fire ladder and we go down the run together?
If that fire ladder holds, I would be very impressed. Wow.
What about just taking, though, like maybe a set of tethers with you, or taking a long pole and just say, hey, we're going to go and try some fun stuff?
Great. Using our adaptive techniques. Yes. Well done, James. Exactly. We have, apart from the behavioral techniques, we have the physical techniques to help our students, to teach them. So if to give them the feeling, or to help them break tethers, poles, hoops. Yes. Nice. Any other ideas? Anything else? I think with this, we have really good plan to be able to go through the same run that we got a meltdown, but without the meltdown. So we would front load them. We would convince them that it's a great run, because they probably don't want to go down this other run. They like their run. So we're going to say, oh, it's a firefighter run. There's going to be fires that we're going to be putting down. How amazing is that? So selling the product, you become salespeople in this trade. So yeah, front loading, selling their new plan, using fun things to get them there. Then we said either using motivational or teaching techniques. We went regressing on the skill levels to get them down, but still have a good lesson where they learn and they practice technique. Breaking it down in small pieces since it's new, and potentially going down an easier terrain, but making it fun still and challenging. Yeah. Anything that I missed that you guys said?
I think you hit it all.
Nice. So this is what makes a good instructor. Pre-planning, knowing what's happening, and not just like chance it.
I have a question too about when we were reading through the scenario. It said that he had a routine of doing that one run a few times before. Isn't it a good idea not to get him in that routine, to try and mix it up all the time so they don't get in a routine where they would be upset by not maybe doing that run right away?
Absolutely. If you can, it's always preferable. It's like with snowboarding, we try to have them ride both ways, not have them fixed on one. But sometimes, even for us, routines are really nice. There is runs that we like more than others, that we go and do them more often than not. But if you can make it that change is okay too, so practice that, so you avoid, like, be proactive instead of reactive, right? Not get to the point where they melt down and you have to use the 6 steps. So if you can, build the routine is not having the same run always.
Exactly.
That's a good routine. Yeah, great point. Okay. Any other comments, questions?
I've heard James say a couple of times about not letting your student do a certain run repeatedly at the beginning of each lesson. And I thought that with ASD or even CI, that you wanted to start each lesson with a level of comfort. And I've always thought that we had to sort of cater to that a bit and start on that comfort level. And then in the rest of the lesson, the last 2/3 of the lesson would be all the new stuff. So I don't know. I'm just a little bit confused about where, like, how much of their routine, mental routine, can we break up
Yeah,
overall?
17%.
What?
No, 22%. Oh, is this the one where if you've met one person with ASD, you've met one person?
No.
Oh, it's that one. It's that. I know it's that one.
So they do like routine, and it's something that you need to give them. They like routine, but a routine doesn't mean doing the same run all the time. A routine is getting in the gondola, getting the boots on, and then going skiing, right? So you can, as I said, start one day on one, and then in the same day go to another one. So the next day you can start on that one and go back, or use the first and then. Okay, first we're going to do this one, and then we're going to do that one. So there are ways to still have a routine, but not have the same run done, just to prepare them for if the family goes to another resort, if the run is closed or is not safe, or anything. But
I see.
sometimes if it's okay, they are happy, they are learning, and there's no race going on, and you want to go down the same run, it's okay. At Grouse, our choices are somewhat limited in a way. Like there's Bunny Hill, Paradise, Cat. Cat is too long, so you have Bunny Hill, whatever, depending on the student. I don't know how to say. And then after that is Blues, right? So
I think
I
that
see.
Jack made a really good point earlier, that just even using different parts of the run makes the run different.
I see. Okay.
Where, if you get off the chairlift and the person always has to sit on the left furthest chairlift position, otherwise they're not happy. And then as soon as they get off, they just hide the left edge of the whole run down, and they go in a straight line, and then they blow up on the road because they have too much speed. And then they get up and they stay on the left side of the run, and they rip around the corner and they get back in the left-hand seat. That is way too much repetitive.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
If we get off the run, and now when we get down to the chair, I make them sit on the right side of the chair. And then we go around the tree going down Paradise. And we stop at the road and we build a little snowman. And then we, whatever, build a little jump. And, even though I'm on the same run, I can make it very different. It's when you notice that all of a sudden there's like this wicked repetitiveness to it that I would encourage you to break that.
I see.
Yep. Even though it's the same run, same comfort, same all that stuff. I'm not saying go steep and fast just because it's a different run.
Yeah.
Use the run in different ways so that people don't become reliant on it. And then, like Teresa was saying, it opens up all the possibilities if you go somewhere else or whatever.
I see. I didn't see it that way. Yeah, I didn't really see that we're not only teaching them how to ski, but we're priming them for other ski hills.
Yeah.
Because they may not always be at Groves.
Hopefully not. It's a big, beautiful ski world. You should go and play in it.
Yeah.
Snowboard world. All right, Teresa, we got about 2 minutes to wrap this sucker up.
oh my god. Okay, people, this is a review. This is that.
Done.
Yeah, I'm so fast.
Go.
Okay, so last. Who can answer these questions for me? What are 3 causes of anxiety?
Lack of control.
Lack of control.
Something new.
Something new.
I think Derek said it.
So we said
Derek's not saying it.
the C, lack of control. Then we said something new, the N. And so we have the U and the E.
Unpredictability.
Yes.
Yep.
And the E.
Ego.
Yeah. Great. What is self-regulation?
Like maybe breathing exercises, or like Jordan blowing his fingers out with candles to calm down. As a way for him to regulate his emotions and his anxiety.
Yes, tools to help us calm down, self-regulate our emotions, de-escalate the situation. And they come in various ways, different ways. Removing them from what is causing it, help with the breathing, that's a big one. in whatever form. Yeah. What happens when someone goes into fight, flight, or freeze mode?
They need to pee.
They may feel like they need to pee. Yes, that's what you took from the video. Yes, James.
Like a self-reflection.
So this is our primal instincts for survival. When our brain thinks we are in danger, we get into this mode where it's self-preservation above all. And
Your
so,
heart rate goes up, your hands get cold but sweaty. You feel like you're fainting, but you're not going to.
yeah, exactly. So there's a few physical symptoms. Pretty much your heart rate is elevated, your breathing gets probably faster, tunnel vision, sweaty, cold palms, feeling of faintness, you're shaking, and especially you are either wanting to run away from fear. You freeze, you kind of move. It's like, oh shit, or you want to bring on the old countdown. It's the old.
I do not know this word. Oh sheet. Oh sheet. Is that a Spanish expression? Is it
No,
something to do with laundry?
It's oh shit, oh shit, oh shit.
Now I can't say that this video is made for children. Okay, good.
You made it. No, for children. Okay. What are the six steps of addressing anxious behavior?
Observe.
Observe, stop, assist, evaluate, validate, and plan.
Oh, Jack.
Wow.
Whoa.
Jack just crushes it.
Whoa. Wow. It's going to be very helpful for your exam. Okay. And why is the debriefing at the end important?
So the student doesn't go home with a negative impression.
Yes. We want to have them back, excited about skiing.
And unhappy.
Yeah, we want to end things always on a happy note for sure.
Yes. And I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but I do learn so much about myself in these situations where I am tested, things are not working. So it's a great learning moment for everyone, especially if we make it a positive thing at the end and we recognize, oh, look, we learned how to go down this steeper terrain, whatever. Now we know that we can side slip and get out of anything if we need to. Coolio. Okay, next steps. It says on snow scenario, back in time, preload and skill development activity. Don't know what that is. I'll leave it
That's what
all.
we're gonna do over the weekend. We're gonna get on the snow and go through this again. So
Okay.
we'll get a chance to play with it a little bit more. Teresa, can you take us to the last slide? And there it is.
Thank you.
And Teresa, thank you for jumping in and doing some presenting. That was amazing. So if nobody has any questions, I'm going to stop the recording and then we can chit chat for another couple minutes. All good for the presentation? Amazing. Thank you all for your time and we'll see you soon.